Guys, take some deep breaths with me before I start. I don't want to be distracted. I want to get into it. Guys, hello, my name is Roanna. I'm going to talk about a prevalent subject on my heart and on my soul that I know a lot of people will relate to. Guys, I got to slow down. You know when you get all up in your head and it's like you're unfocused? I got to relax into my body so I can focus on the topic. Sensuality over, however you make that square. Sexuality. Sensuality over sensuality is the topic of the day. That's my topic. I'm not going to edit this because honestly, I'm not going to edit it. I want it to be uncut, real, raw, and sexy. Okay? Guys, sorry. Here I go, blanking out into thought. Maybe I need some more deep breaths. Ladies, be as sensual as you absolutely possibly can. Don't waste no time. Don't waste no time. I know I'm kind of serious right now, but it's because I kind of have to lay it on thick. Okay? Ladies, your sensuality has nothing to do with your sexuality. I'm not going to explain this on a social level. I'm kind of going to explain it on a psychological, emotional level. Okay? I want to speak on the fact that a lot of women have been told that, when they have more sensual traits, it's sexual. Now, women have been told to kind of, and I use the word sensuality because that's how I view it, right? There's things that are erotic, sexual, that are also sensual. They kind of flip flop. And the reason is because, especially when we're talking about the male to female attraction, things that are sensual on a woman, like maybe the way how she speaks, her tone, her skin, the things that she accentuates on her body. Sensuality has a lot to do with seductiveness, the senses. You seduce somebody with the senses, right? So, to a man, a woman being sensual is, in their view, especially in their view, their raw, uncut view, they're going to read that as sexual, right? And that's no problem. I generally don't think it's a problem that men need to stop doing, because I get it. It's in the biology that's what makes you attracted. That's why when women are more attractive, they tend to get more attention, blase, bluesy, blah, because they just have more sensual traits. You know all the traits that women like. Ladies, we know all the traits we like in other women that we're like, ooh, I want that too. Ooh, I like how her lips look. Ooh, I like how her skin looks. Those sensual traits that we like, men view that as sexy. So we might view it as sensual. They're going to view it sexy. Got it? But for my ladies, I want you to understand, just because someone views your sensual nature as sexual doesn't mean you need to close off from this nature. I know there's been propaganda that a woman being sensual is sexual, right? They sit and, we've been told to maybe cover up, maybe not be so comfortable in your environment, be a little stush, be a little almost robotic almost, be a little grungy, be a little, but it's truly wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong to say that someone being sensual is a plain indicative of sexuality. Why? Because if a woman has all the attributes, right? She's expressing her sensuality. There's people in countries and cultures that there's women, specifically women in certain cultures who literally they can't even speak to a man outside of their knit of outside their family. They can't even show their body, like they're covered from head to toe, hair, everything, and they are still being SA'd. There are younger children, there are human beings on this earth whose sexual organs aren't even developed yet, but they are being SA'd. They are being sexualized. Sexual sex is arousal. Sex is pleasure. Sensuality, am I saying that right? Sensuality is being pleasing. It's the being of pleasing, but it's not being pleased. Do you understand? And I'm trying to explain this to a man. Honestly, I think a man would definitely understand what I'm saying here. But it's all like, you know. But ladies, we can't ignore the fact that men are here. They're here and they view our sensuality as sexuality. They view it like that, right? Here's what we do. Instead of we telling women we need to close ourselves off from our divine nature, because that's what we're telling the ladies, and it's not helping the ladies. Now men are wondering why women are acting this way, why they're like this, why they're like this. But you're essentially telling a woman to cut herself off from her sensuality, from a part of her being, because you can't control yourself. Women should be protected and not hidden. That's why I tell the ladies, if you want to become more feminine, you want to become more attractive, you want to become more sexy, you got to have someone who don't play about you. Because we can't ignore the fact that the men are going to be here and they're going to, we can't ignore that stuff like that doesn't happen. That's why you need someone, preferably a man, preferably something that can get the job done. Specifically a man. You need a man who don't play about you. If that's your daddy, if that's your uncle, if that's your brother, if that's your man. And honestly, I do think men honestly do have a natural protective energy, of course. And I think that's why some men might say, oh, don't do that. Like, don't be yourself completely. Don't be completely comfortable sitting in your sensuality, because that can be a form of protection, but it's to the point. It's to the point where women are cutting themselves off completely. They feel uncomfortable to be slow. They feel uncomfortable to literally be comfortable. They can't sit back in their environment because they're always on their toes almost. But what I'm saying is, even when women do hide their sensuality, that wasn't the reason why women are being, all these problems, all these cases where women are, being SA'd, where women are being mistreated. That's not where it's stemming from. It's not stemming from the woman being herself. It's stemming from the fact that men can't control themselves. Because guess what? Again, there's women in countries who have to cover themselves up head to toe, can't even speak, can't even use their voice, and they're still being SA'd. There's people whose sexual organs aren't developed and they're still being, because it had nothing to do with a woman being sensual. And it had, oh, look at that heart. Bro, what do I be doing? And it has everything to do with the fact that men can't control themselves. That's the answer. So men, please understand the difference between sensuality and sexuality, right? Because I'm tired of hearing these cases of, and girls, you need to have you a shooter behind you. You need to have you somebody who don't play about you. So when you walk out in the earth, you're not scared to go out with your girlfriends at night. Because your man probably blowing up your phone talking about I'm outside the club when you finish. I mean, shoot, if we really need to get that serious, he need to be outside the club when you finish. Why he not outside the club when you and your homegirls are done? Why your personal driver ain't outside when you done? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why your shooter ain't outside when you done? Just to add a splash, because we can't act, as I'm saying, we can't act like these people aren't here. But it was never our fault. So ladies, keep shaking your behind if you want to. Keep showing your titties. Don't show your titties. Cover your titties. Hide. But regardless, it ain't your fault, sweetie. It was never your fault. And honestly, why did I want to talk about this topic? It's because I've just been hearing so much about it. Like, I mean, it's to the point where, like, oh my gosh, I've just been hearing so much stories. Did that thing really just die? Anyways, guys, ladies, keep shaking that ass and have you a shooter behind you. Am I really not gonna edit this? Shoot, I don't think I'm gonna edit it. I'm gonna just post it. I like it crazier and crazier by the day.